Hey guys, it's Neil from OC Muay Thai. Today I just wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about barefoot running. Before I do that, I just want to show you guys, these are my sandals. I use these basically just to walk in, hike in, trail running, sprint in. I've recently made the switch to running completely barefoot. So I really only use these for hiking and things of that sort where the ground is very abrasive and I need something to protect my feet. But I've been using minimalist shoes like this for a very long time. As you can see, they're very simple. It's just a thin piece of rubber uh, glued on with some leather, some shoelaces, some grommets, and it basically just wraps around my foot and keeps it secure. Barefoot running for me has been a really great experience. I've took it to it very slowly. I've used to run in shoes and for all of my life, and even when I started running on my toes and really helping to build the strength in my feet, I still use flat shoes like Chuck Taylors or things like that. I didn't make the big switch until after or during our trip to the Philippines. I started using the Vibram 5 Fingers, and from there I just started to use less and less footwear until very recently. Now I've just been going completely barefoot when I run. I only barefoot run on flat concrete. I don't do it on asphalt because it's too abrasive. It will still cut through my feet. Basically, just go everywhere barefoot. I drive barefoot, I run barefoot, I walk barefoot, I go to the store barefoot. I bring these guys along just in case the stores require me to have some sort of shoes on, or I go to a restaurant or out somewhere with my friends. But there's just something very spiritual almost about not wearing shoes, and you get to really feel the ground beneath beneath your feet, and it feels great. It's almost liberating. The great thing about not wearing shoes is you don't have to worry about your feet smelling. So from a hygienic standpoint, it's actually pretty good as long as you keep the bottom of your feet nice and clean. Aside from that, it's really done just wonders for my fitness. I've become a lot stronger in my feet ever since going to minimalist shoes and then eventually barefoot running, to the point where I have better times now on my mile, running my mile or my quarter mile without shoes than I ever could, achieve with shoes. And that took time. It didn't just happen all of a sudden. I was very patient. I took my time from adjusting between going to Chuck Taylors to less or more minimalist shoes, and then so on and so forth. And sometimes it takes weeks, sometimes it takes months, and sometimes it might even take a year. It just depends on where you're at. I love running barefoot. It just feels so invigorating. It's like actually being who you're supposed to be, being completely natural and running completely free, and there's no restriction. One of the biggest changes that I noticed in myself from running was when I used to wear shoes, you basically just run kind of with reckless abandon. You're not really worried about where your feet are landing, how they're being placed. You're just kind of running. There's a nice thing about that, but when you finally take your shoes off or start wearing more minimalist shoes, you start to realize how careful you are with your steps, because now you're using muscles you've never used before, and now your foot placement has to be exact, and it's all very controlled and very conscious. So you're no longer just running with reckless abandon, you're running very carefully, and when you start to run very carefully, you essentially slow yourself down. And that's the great thing about any sort of training, whether it's in fitness, martial arts, yoga, it doesn't matter. The slower you take it, the more exact and beneficial the movements become in the long run. And also, the harder it is for you to sustain injury. That's a huge one, especially when you're running. You got a lot of knee injuries, foot injuries, ankle injuries, pulled muscles, and tightness here and there. It's very common in running and biking and many sports that require you to be moving on your feet a lot. So the most important thing is about when training in those sort of sports and any sort of fitness is doing it in a way that you don't get hurt. Taking those shoes off a lot of times requires you to be a lot more careful and more conscious about your foot placement, where your knee is aligned with your ankle, or where your knee is aligned with your hip, or your hip is aligned with your shoulder. See, it all starts to add up, and you become much more conscious about all of your movement just in general. Your posture gets better. You start to feel better. You even it all starts to add up. Now I won't go into the benefits of how it has increased my endurance and power and strength and things like that in the martial arts aspect, but I just wanted to touch a little bit and tell you guys about my experience. If you're going to be going hiking and things of that sort, or trail running, you definitely want to have something on your feet, even if you just have it in your back pocket, so when your feet finally start to wear down, you start to feel a little tired, you can put something in it. Understand, when you get tired, you become less conscious about where your foot placement is, and so injuries start to occur more frequently. So you do want to have something just in case. I always do bring these guys around so that just in case the terrain gets a little bit rough, or there's asphalt and no concrete around, I throw these on. The last thing we want to have is blisters that we have to heal through, giving us, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 days of rest that we don't really want to take. So better just to have something prepared, not to get injured, and not to make training any more difficult than it needs to be. So one of those things that people talk about is no pain, no gain. It's something I've never followed in my life. Actually, I did, and I got hurt a lot. No pain, no gain. I don't really follow that now in my current fitness regimen. It's not about pain. It's about passing your limits, and you don't pass your limits when you're hurt. You go backwards when you're hurt. So I always take myself just to that limit, or just to that point before the pain ever even starts, and then I make the adjustment if I need to, whether it's slowing down or going for a longer, or even just completely stopping altogether, because tomorrow I'm going to train, and if you get hurt today, you won't be training tomorrow. So I will be making those gains, and you'll be sleeping the entire time. So anyways, that's just my little thing. I just want to tell you guys a little bit about barefoot running. You go ahead and read the article. There's a little bit more in depth. If you're making the change for barefoot running or going into minimalist shoes, go ahead and read, enjoy, and have a nice day.